The movie Magical Princess has released Part 2 after Part 1 had certain successes. In the movie, Bloom and her friends have returned to school. After the summer vacation, many things have changed. Rosalind has overthrown the old principal and taken over. Returning to school, Bloom is suspicious of the mysterious disappearance of Principal Farah, but Bloom does not think she was murdered. To find out the reason, Bloom went to Rosalind and asked about the suspicious disappearance of the old principal, but she only answered in a way that did not go to the point. Rosalind told Bloom to forget about this incident. This made Bloom think that Farah had something happened. Meanwhile, Simba was also imprisoned. Replacing Simba's position is Sky's father, a close friend of Rosalind. Not long after, the group received news that Simba would be exiled to Polaris, a place extremely cold and dark. If that really happened, it would be impossible to see him again. So they discussed and came up with a plan to rescue Simba. But to do this, they had to know the specific schedule, and Stella used her invisibility superpower to track the people escorting Simba to Polaris. Through that, Stella knew the entire travel schedule. However, Stella was still discovered by Beatrix, even though she was invisible, because the rain left her footprints on the ground. Just like that, Beatrix used her ability and discovered Stella. In that situation, Stella could only beg Beatrix not to tell the principal. When they returned to the room, everyone made a detailed plan again. They would ambush Simba on his way. Then they would combine to save him. Each person was assigned a certain task. Therefore, everyone was important in this plan. The next morning, Simba was taken out of the school's prison and put on a car to go to a new place. At this time, Bloom's group was also ready. Now all that was left was Stella, and they would depart. But now she had a problem. Beatrix really broke her promise. Beatrix told the principal about Stella's magic, which caused her to be banned from leaving the school. In addition, Rosalind also put a bug into Stella. It had the effect of preventing Stella from using magic anymore. Outside, Bloom's group waited for a long time, but did not see Stella appear, so they had no choice but to depart. Not long after, the group arrived at a broken bridge. The group decided to carry out plan here. Very soon, the convoy carrying Simba also arrived here. Because the bridge collapsed, they were forced to take another route, but Bloom's group had been waiting for this route. First, Bloom used her psychic powers to cause the car carrying Simba to malfunction. When the driver got down to check, Terra created a vine that passed through the driver's body and secretly took the key from his pocket. At this time, Simba was also transferred to another car to continue moving. Taking that opportunity, Aisha created a water bubble carrying the key and flew straight to give it to Simba. The next step was for Bloom to use the fire to explode the broken car earlier to attract the attention of the people on Simba's escort car. Taking that opportunity, Simba unlocked the handcuffs and then ran straight into the forest. Seeing Simba running away, the other people also chased after him and used bows and arrows to shoot at Simba. If he kept running like this, sooner or later Simba would be caught. So he had no choice but to jump into a stream. On the bank, the other people were still watching. They waited for him to come up and then captured him alive. But below, Aisha had time to create a water bubble that covered Simba's nose to prevent him from suffocating. Above, they waited for a long time without seeing any movement, so they had to return. So Bloom's group successfully rescued Simba. When he brought him to a safe place, Bloom told his grandfather everything that was happening in the school. At this time, Simba also thought that Rosalind was plotting something dark, so Simba told Bloom to approach and investigate this. When he returned, Bloom found Rosalind and asked Rosalind to train her. She wanted to exploit all of her power, but in fact, this was just an excuse. Bloom wanted to do so to have a chance to get closer to Rosalind. From there, Bloom would easily investigate what Rosalind was plotting. Not long after, a young man ran back to the school. His body was full of injuries. He said that it was Rosalind who made him like this. Meanwhile, she was entering a room. Inside, there were several people who were dizzy and had repeated convulsions. It was not understood what she had done to those people. The next day, Sky's father came to inform Rosalind that they had lost Simba. This made her extremely angry. She intended to use her superpowers to eliminate her juniors for ruining her work. Luckily, Dio Crips walked in from outside at that moment, forcing Rosalind to spare Sky's father's life. At this time, Dio Crips said that according to her investigation, Simba was helped and that he did not suddenly disappear like that. Hearing that, Rosalind went out to check. Taking that opportunity, Bloom sneaked into the room to look for clues. Sure enough, she discovered a strange book. She immediately took out her phone to take pictures of everything in it and sent it to Simba and asked him to see what the book was for. But unfortunately, he could not translate the content of book, so Bloom and Sky set off. Very quickly, the two arrived at that house. After searching for a while, Bloom found a book about ancient magic. She immediately texted her friends. Then she left the place. But at this time, something happened at school. The young man who was injured the day before had a seizure again. His body was completely out of control and attacked the person next to him. So Terra had to use magic to tie him up, but he was too strong and easily broke the rope. So he ran out of the room. He went to Stella Stella and Deocrip's room. He kept asking them where Rosalind was. Suddenly, Rosalind came back from outside. Seeing that, he immediately used a sharp stick to put it on her neck. But before he could do anything, Rosalind used dark magic to kill him. This made the others extremely surprised. They couldn't believe the principal was so cruel. This was no different from murder to silence. Later, Bloom also brought the ancient magic translation back to her room. The group then joined hands and deciphered the drawings in Rosalind's magic book. From there, they discovered that Rosalind was plotting to use an ancient magic to absorb other people's power for herself, making her powers stronger and stronger. Meanwhile, Simba sneaked into the school. By chance, he met Sky. Simba knew that he would not be able to hide forever. Sooner or later, he would be found, so he wanted to come here to see Sky one last time. But on the way back, Simba ran into Rosalind's group. She sent someone to capture him and take him away to be dealt with. The next day, Bloom and Aisha went to where Simba was hiding when they suddenly received news that he was missing. Knowing that something had happened to Simba, she had to quickly find him. But that plan was ruined because that night the school had a ceremony and Bloom was noticed by Rosalind. Rosalind always forced Bloom to stay close to her. This made it impossible for Bloom to act with her friends. So Aisha and the others had to continue with their plan. They went behind the school to a mysterious secret room, which was very similar to the place where Rosalind was imprisoned. The two entered a room after continuing, but when they had not yet found Simba, suddenly there was a noise behind them. Then suddenly the lights in the room went out, forcing Aisha to use her phone's flashlight to check everything around. At this time, under the table appeared a monster that looked very similar to the one in Rosalind's magic book, but Aisha had not yet discovered its presence. When it attacked, luckily she had reflexively avoided it. Aisha intended to use magic to destroy it, but failed because the monster moved very quickly. In a flash, it was on top of Aisha's head. By the time she turned around, it had already rushed straight into her face, but Aisha was still able to catch it. At this time, the other friend also helped to knock the monster to the ground. Then they used half a pepper to burn it to dust. When they returned, the two showed their friends the image of the monster. With these things, they could expose Rosalind's crimes in front of the whole school. However, Bloom stopped everyone from doing that. If they were too hasty, they might be played by her. It would be very dangerous for everyone. But Stella did not think so. If they did not expose Rosalind now, more people might be harmed. So if Bloom did not do it, Stella would do it herself. Then Stella walked into the center of the party and said that Rosalind was deceiving everyone. This surprised everyone. Stella told everyone that Rosalind had killed someone. Stella then said that Rosalind was secretly stealing other people's magic. But at this moment, Rosalind turned back and said that Stella seemed to be mistaken about something because the other friend was still there. This surprised the Bloom group. At this time, Rosalind explained that before, several students in the school had gone missing, including that young man. When she found them, they all had similar symptoms, which was that they had lost all their magic and were mentally unstable. According to her investigation, they were attacked by a monster. It was a type of neck sling born from dark magic. The reason why the young man could come back to life after dying was because she had created a medicine that could help him come back to life. But all of that was suspected by the Bloom group, and they thought that Rosalind was doing something shady. Hearing this, everyone was speechless because they could not bring out any evidence to refute it. As a result, they could only wait to return to their rooms. Rosalind asked Bloom to stay. Rosalind announced to everyone that Bloom was carrying the legendary dragon fire magic. This surprised everyone. That meant that Bloom would be the one to save the world from the hands of dark magic. That made Bloom extremely confused. Bloom did not know whether Rosalind's words were true or if she was just being used. At this moment, Rosalind approached and told Bloom to put all the past things aside because now they had to cooperate to prepare well for the upcoming battle. At this time, Simba also came out from inside and said that he had been pardoned by Rosalind. He would cooperate with everyone to fight against dark magic. Meanwhile, outside the school, Beatrix was extremely bored because she was out of favor. She was not respected by the principal like before. But suddenly, a group of ancient worms appeared. It just rushed to attack, leaving Beatrix unable to fight back. After that, everyone still couldn't find her. That put a lot of pressure on Rosalind's shoulders. Rosalind thought that Beatrix was taken away by dark magic. If not, the others would most likely suffer the same fate. But at this moment, Rosalind didn't know what to do. Rosalind could only reveal this to Bloom and tell her to be careful. Beatrix's capture could very well have someone in the school who was a dark magician. So Bloom had to protect herself and keep this a secret. Meanwhile, Sky's father couldn't stand it anymore. He wanted to save Beatrix because he considered her his daughter. So this guy went to meet his best student. While he wasn't paying attention, Sky's father knocked him out and dragged him into the forest. Then Sky's father took a photo and sent it to someone in the hope of getting his student to trade for Beatrix. A moment later, a bald man appeared. But before the exchange could take place, someone used used magic to control him. In the end, he was eliminated right in front of Sky's father, and of course the next victim was Sky's father. It can be seen that this person's magic was very strong. Not long after, Stella received a message from Beatrix asking for help. At this time, she was being held in an abandoned house outside of town. Upon receiving this news, Stella immediately informed Bloom's group, but instead of going to save Beatrix, Bloom prevented them all from doing so, because this could be a trap set by dark magic to lure Bloom's group there to capture and take their magic. But Stella was impatient by nature, so when she couldn't ask Bloom, she asked Sky for help, and of course, Sky's group immediately prepared their belongings and set off. That night, they arrived at the abandoned house. Entering the house was a gloomy feeling. It seemed like there was nothing good inside. Fortunately, they found Beatrix early, but just as Bloom said, this was definitely a trap. Sky's father suddenly appeared. However, they knew that he was being controlled. Seeing that, Sky immediately told Musa to run first, while he and his friend would stay behind to deal with his father. Although Musa was able to run, she was attacked by the worm. It was so fast that she didn't have time to react, so she let it bite her hand. Luckily, Musa picked up the broken pearl in time and hit the monster, causing it to let her go. Taking that opportunity, Musa ran into a room and closed the door. Meanwhile, Sky outside was still being beaten by his crazy father. Unexpectedly at this moment, Simba appeared to save the two. At this time at school, Bloom also thought of a person who had always been on their side, but was an extremely dangerous and unpredictable person. So she thought that person was the spy team. Without saying anything, she ran to his place. It was none other than Simba's friend, the person who let him stay when he escaped from school. When he was exposed, it was also the time when Sky's father escaped from control. At this time, Garham did not beat around the bush and admitted that he was the one who used dark magic to cause the disappearances of students in the school. Then he showed off his power by using magic to fight. Seeing that, Bloom could only transform to get ready to fight. Knowing that he could not beat Bloom, Garham stopped. He said that he knew everything about Bloom, including her biological parents. If she wanted to know the truth, she should join his side. At this moment, a layer of water surrounded Bloom. It turned out that Aisha came to help Bloom. Unexpectedly, that gave Garham time to escape. Although they couldn't catch him, they knew who the real culprit was. Bloom returned and told Rosalind everything. She was very happy because thanks to Bloom, she knew the real enemy. However, they also suffered a great loss because when Bloom exposed Garham, the connection between him and Sky's father was cut off in an instant. Then Sky's father lost control and tried to kill Simba. At the side, Sky had no choice but to attack his father. As a result, he killed his father. Bloom was very sad when she learned about this, but Musa was also seriously injured. Her life was like a candle in the wind, and her magic was completely lost. After a period of treatment, when her health stabilized, Merchik also returned to normal. The only thing was that she had lost all her magic. That night, Sky was on guard duty. He sat alone thinking because he felt guilty about killing his father. Unexpectedly, at this moment, something appeared behind him, holding him and controlling him. The next day, Sky was called to the room by Rosalind and Simba. Last night, the school was broken into. All the documents in the school were turned upside down. They thought that Garham did this. They asked Sky if he saw anything last night, but Sky denied knowing anything. There was no other way, so the two let him go home. Meanwhile, Bloom's group was focusing on thinking of a way to get Musa's magic back, but they tried everything but failed. So Bloom thought of a way. She went to Garham and asked him to return the magic. Knowing that he would never agree empty-handed, she went to get Rosalind's ancient magic book. Then Bloom left the school alone to meet Garham. Bloom offered the book as a condition of exchange, hoping that he would return the magic, but Garham refused. He only agreed to tell Bloom how to get the magic back for her friend. Either he would voluntarily return it or wait until he died, then everyone would have their magic back. So Bloom's exchange failed without getting anything. Not getting anything from the exchange, Bloom considered the second option, which was to eliminate Garham to get the magic back from Musa and the others. Seeing that the situation was very tense, Garham had no choice but to give Bloom a piece of information on the condition that she not attack him. That information was that Rosalind had eliminated the old principal. Farah was buried in the cemetery behind the school. If you don't believe it, you can go back and check. After saying that, he turned away and left. This made Bloom extremely confused. She didn't know if she had ever looked at the wrong person, so Bloom returned and went to Rosalind to question her. As soon as Rosalind confirmed it, Bloom went crazy. Bloom intended to avenge Farah, but she was controlled by Rosalind. Rosalind used magic to freeze Bloom's body. Then Rosalind said that anyone who didn't follow her would die. It was Farah before and Bloom now. But Rosalind underestimated Bloom's ability. Rosalind's ice was melted by Bloom's hatred. Immediately after that, a giant fireball was created by Bloom. It completely suppressed Rosalind's power. Just like that, Bloom caused a super terrible explosion. By the time Bloom's friends ran to the scene, they saw Rosalind burned black. This matter was extremely serious. Simba had had no choice but to handcuff Bloom and wait for his superiors to issue a punishment. This matter quickly reached Queen. She immediately spoke up to correct the people. But surprisingly, when the murderer was announced, the Queen blamed the entire crime on the dark magicians. Hearing this news, Garham was extremely angry. This incident sparked a war. Early the next morning, the Queen went to school to judge the case of Bloom killing Rosalind. Because this crime was so serious, Bloom could be sentenced to death or exile. Through that, her group of friends tried to find a way to defend her. Tara led another friend to the cemetery. They poured a smoke-like substance on the ground. It was effective in finding the body of the deceased. Meanwhile, Bloom was brought before the Queen. Accompanying her was Stella, who would defend Bloom in court. However, they could not provide evidence that Rosalind had harmed Farah. Bloom's one-sided words alone are not acceptable. Therefore, the Queen still judged Bloom guilty. She was frozen for 20 years. Bloom was then taken to the prison cell and punished there. Meanwhile, Tara could not find Farah's body. The only thing they found was a pile of tree roots. They did not understand what Rosalind did to her. When they heard the news, everyone was sad because they had lost a friend. But now the battle with dark magic was approaching, so they could not lose Bloom. So the whole group focused on saving her from prison. But that place was heavily guarded, so no one had a chance to approach. Meanwhile, Bloom inside the seal kept thinking about her parents. She remembered what she had done to them. Out of anger, she had injured 2 people. Her entire house was also burned down. Only now did Bloom realize that these were her real parents. Suddenly, she shed tears. Suddenly, from outside, a hand touched the seal and freed Bloom. That person was Para. After bringing the pile of roots back, someone in Bloom's group tried to transfer magic into it and made it look like it was taking a weight gain drug. Because of that, Para was revived. But in fact, she only existed as a spirit. In a short time, Para would officially disappear. With the short time there, Bloom asked Farah to show her the way because she was afraid that if she couldn't control herself, she would harm the people around her. At this time, Para also told Bloom to control it and use it to protect her world and make people she loved safe. Doing that meant she was on the right track. To thank Farah, Bloom hugged her. At the same time, Para slowly disappeared. That night, the dark magic group sneaked into the school. The person who opened the door was Beatrix. It turned out that Beatrix had made a deal with Garham. He would return her magic. In return, Beatrix would be his cockroach squad. At this time, she used magic to cause all the electricity in the school to short circuit. In the dark night, Garham's ancient insects flooded in. The students in the school still did not know that danger was approaching. The ancient insects went into each room and attacked everyone. It was not until the next morning that Simba and everyone else found out. All the people who were captured last night were being held in a room. Knowing that Garham wanted to target her this time, Bloom talked to Simba privately. She told him to let her give her magic to Garham so that everyone would be safe. But he did not think so. Garham did not have Bloom's power yet, but he was already very evil. If he had her power, didn't know what would happen. Now the only way to protect everyone was to fight him. Afraid that her friends would be in danger, Bloom decided to do it alone. Even though everyone asked for her help, she refused. But it was too dangerous, and they could lose their lives in the fight. Outside the school, Simba then gathered all the students to regain control. Meanwhile, Sky had also fallen into Garham's hands. Garham used Sky to threaten Bloom to appear. Not wanting her friends to be in danger, Bloom had no choice but to follow. She quickly arrived at his base. Meanwhile, Bloom's friends just discovered that she was missing. Stella went to find Bloom, and she immediately met Beatrix. However, Beatrix was not a bad person. Beatrix told Stella about Garham's true plan. He was born in the land of Astardan, which was destroyed by the witches 16 years ago. At this time, Garham wants to use dark magic to revive the people there. To do that, he needs Bloom's power, so they must do everything to prevent that from happening. On the other side, Bloom has been brought before Garham. At this time, Sky is tied to the wall by Garham with vines. If Bloom dares to act, Garham will immediately eliminate her. This leaves Bloom with no choice but to compromise. She agrees to give Garham the power of the dragon to save Sky. Bloom will transfer the power into a crystal. Then Garham will absorb all that power from the crystal into his body. Outside, the army led by Simba also begins to attack the school. The battle officially breaks out. Everything becomes chaotic. Meanwhile, the process of transferring magic between Bloom and Garham is still taking place. But at this moment, Beatrix walks in from somewhere. Beatrix used a move to knock Sky to the floor, forcing Bloom to run back. That accidentally caused the crystal to fall to the ground and shatter. Garham then lost the chance to use Bloom's power. This made him angry and kill Beatrix. At this time, the fire of hatred in Bloom rose. She transformed again to fight Garham. Seeing that, he tried to use words to calm Bloom. He said that if she got angry again, the whole school would be flattened. Bloom's friends would definitely be turned to dust. But at this moment, all of them appeared and surrounded him. It turned out that Stella used magic to make everyone invisible and broke in here. At this moment, Bloom lost her magic. Seeing that, Garham explained that because she had used too much of it and she needed time to recover. If so, the others would not be his opponents. The battle was considered over. Unexpectedly, Stella did not think so. If they fought individually, that would be right. But they came here to defeat him together. So each person transformed and revealed their true strength. A pair of fairy wings grew on their backs. This was the strongest state of a fairy. Then the whole group joined forces to attack Garham. Seeing that, Bloom, who was beside them, also used her remaining strength to help everyone. As a result, they made Garham disappear forever. The battle ended there. Those who were controlled by Garham also returned to normal. The environment was once again peaceful. Suddenly, the image of a monster appeared in Bloom's mind. That night, while waiting for everyone to fall asleep, Bloom went down to the secret basement alone. A big, fat ball of energy appeared here. But at this moment, Sky also arrived. It turned out that Sky had been following Bloom, and he knew she was planning to do something shady. At this point, Bloom explained that this was the gate leading to the dark world. At first, Bloom thought Garham had to use the power of Dragonfire to open that gate, but he didn't take her power so that no one could close it. Unexpectedly, that plan failed. And now, only Bloom in this world can close this gate. Otherwise, the dark monster will come and celebrate. Hearing this, Sky immediately stopped Bloom from doing so because no one knew what was in that gate. But Bloom still insisted on doing it. She went through there to close the door to save the world. Sky had no choice. He could only watch helplessly. The next morning when everyone woke up, they saw the farewell letter that Bloom left behind. That made everyone sad and tearful. The movie ended here. Thank you for watching, goodbye, and see you again.